Imagine you're standing over a 15-foot putt. It's this crucial moment in your weekend round. You crouch down, you look at the hole, and you see the ball breaking a good, I don't know, 6 inches from right to left.
Oh, we've all been exactly there.
Right. But then your playing partner looks at the exact same line and swears it's going to break a foot. And the caddy thinks it's almost straight.
It's maddening, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, how is it physically possible that 3 different human brains can look at the exact same stretch of grass and calculate 3 entirely different realities?
Well, it's essentially the ultimate illusion of golf. You know, we're all conditioned to think that reading a green is this subjective art form.
Like a gut feeling.
Exactly. A mystical instinct you either have or you just don't. Usually, inherited by whoever has played the course the longest. But underneath all that grass, it is pure, unyielding physics.
It's just math.
It is. It's an interactive physical equation. And when human beings try to solve complex multivariable physics equations using only their eyeballs, well, the results are predictably chaotic.
Okay, let's unpack this because that is exactly what our mission is today. We're doing a deep dive into the underlying physics of putting. We're using the science behind the Puttalyze system to completely demystify green reading for you.
Which is such a vital topic.
It really is. We are taking that subjective guesswork, the arguments between you, your partner, and the caddy, and transforming it into a structured, scientifically based system.
And that is a monumental shift for any golfer or coach listening right now. Putting isn't just an art. Mastering the science behind it gives you a real, repeatable advantage.
Yeah, moving away from just eyeballing it.
Right, moving from visual estimation to actual calculation. It's really the only way to build any sort of consistency.
And that estimation problem, that's the root of so much frustration on the course, isn't it? Traditional green reading is, at its core, just visual guesswork.
Oh, absolutely.
Going back to our 3 people looking at that same 15-foot putt, they are seeing different lines because they are secretly imagining completely different underlying conditions without even realizing it.
Right, because the brain isn't just calculating the slope, it's projecting a specific energy transfer.
Like how hard you hit it.
Yes. One player might be imagining this aggressive, firmer strike that hits the back of the cup. The other is picturing a dying putt that just, trickles over the front edge.
Which changes everything.
Exactly. They are imagining different stopping distances, different initial speeds, and different roll times.
And the human brain completely short circuits here because none of those variables operate independently. You cannot isolate one single factor on a putting green.
No, you can't. And what's fascinating here is the chain reaction that triggers the moment you change just one condition in your mind.
Give me an example of that.
Well, let's say you decide to hit the putt just slightly softer. A lower initial ball speed alters the total roll time. Because the ball is moving slower, it takes longer to reach the hole.
Right, makes sense.
And that increased roll time means gravity has a longer duration to pull the ball sideways down the slope, which, ultimately changes the total amount of break.
So if I hit it softer, it breaks more. But I have to know exactly how much softer to know exactly how much more it breaks.
And that is just the speed variable. Throw in a change in the green's firmness or the slope percentage, and the math becomes staggeringly complex.
So if you've ever hit a putt exactly where you intended, with a pure stroke, and watched it miss by a foot, it's not necessarily because your eyes are fundamentally flawed.
Not at all.
It's because you likely viewed one of those variables in isolation. You looked at the slope and said, oh, it breaks left, without factoring in how the speed of the green changes the time the ball actually spends on that slope.
Exactly. To stop guessing, we have to treat the green like a physics engine. We really have to understand the specific physical forces acting on the golf ball from the moment of impact all the way to the bottom of the cup.
Okay, I love the idea of treating the green like this pristine physics lab, but I have to push back here for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Greens are inherently messy. I mean, there are spike marks, pitch marks, subtle grain variations, moisture differences from morning to afternoon, and maybe a gust of wind.
Oh, yeah. The real world is chaotic.
Right. So doesn't all that chaos completely break a pristine mathematical model?
That is the most common and frankly the most valid criticism of applying physics to golf. But the system addresses this brilliantly through what is called the planar surface model.
It's a planar surface model.
Yes, the physics engine intentionally assumes that the specific area of the putt you are analyzing is a locally uniform surface. It treats the slope percentage, the fall line, and the green speed as constant for that specific area.
Oh, I see. So it's intentionally filtering out the noise to focus on the signal.
That's the perfect way to put it. It excludes random environmental factors, like a random spike mark or a sudden gust of wind, because they vary completely unpredictably from one putt to the next.
You can't calculate a spike mark.
Exactly. You cannot build a reliable, repeatable scientific model on random chance. Instead, the model focuses on the primary physical forces that determine the overwhelming majority of a putt's behavior. And those two forces are rolling friction and gravity.
So let's dive deep into that battle, because a putt is essentially just an exercise in energy transfer, right?
Yes, it is. Immediately after impact, your golf ball receives kinetic energy from the putter face. As it rolls, two continuous things happen. First, rolling friction. The interaction of the ball's dimples against the blades of grass scrubs off that energy, slowing the ball down.
Friction always wins eventually.
Always. Second, gravity is acting on the ball, changing its speed and direction depending on the slope. Uphill slopes convert that kinetic energy into potential energy, slowing the ball faster. Downhill slopes do the exact opposite, maintaining the kinetic energy for much longer.
And this interaction perfectly explains something every golfer has seen thousands of times, but maybe never fully grasped the mechanics of.
The break at the end.
Yes. Why does a putt always seem to curve or break so much more right at the tail end of its journey?
Think of a sports car taking a sharp turn. If that car is going 100 miles an hour, momentum wants to pull it straight. The tires just can't grip enough to turn sharply at that speed.
The momentum is too high.
Right. But as the car slows down to 10 miles an hour, the steering wheel can suddenly yank the car sharply to the side.
So early in the putt, kinetic energy is the sports car going 100 miles an hour.
Exactly. When the ball has high kinetic energy and is moving fast, rolling friction is the dominant force slowing it down, but the forward momentum is too strong. Gravity has very little time or ability to pull the ball sideways.
But then it slows down.
Right. As the ball slows down, gravity exerts a proportionally greater influence on the direction of travel. It becomes the steering wheel yanking the car. The slower the ball gets, the more gravity wins the battle, resulting in that sharp, sudden curve near the hole.
Wow. But here's where this gets really interesting. Because a physics engine is useless if you can't apply it on a Sunday afternoon on the 18th green.
You have to be able to use it, yeah.
And the Puttalyze system bridges that gap.
Yeah.
It doesn't just ask you how much will this break. It asks what specific trajectory results from these physical conditions.
And to figure that out, it relies on 5 core inputs. You have green speed, which is your Stimp reading, slope percentage, putting distance, clock position, and target speed.
And none of those can be ignored if you want an accurate read, right?
Not if you want the math to work. Let's look closely at clock position, because it fundamentally changes how a golfer maps a green in their head. The clock system doesn't refer to where the golfer is standing. It defines the direction of gravity relative to the fall line.
Okay, so to visualize the fall line for you listening, that is the straight line water would take if you poured a bucket on the green.
Perfect analogy.
So in this system, 6 o'clock is a straight uphill putt directly on that fall line. 12 o'clock is straight downhill.
Yes. And in those specific 6 and 12 o'clock positions, gravity is only affecting the speed of the ball. It is not affecting the lateral direction at all.
It won't break left or right.
Exactly. But as you move your position around the hole to, say, 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock, you are now on a pure side hill putt. This is where the sideways component of gravity is at its absolute peak strength.
Because the ball is moving exactly perpendicular to the fall line.
Which means your aim point has to shift dramatically. Gravity is pulling the ball laterally for the entire duration of the roll. Both the slope percentage, which dictates the raw strength of gravity, and the clock position, which dictates the direction of gravity relative to your putt, both are required to know what the ball will actually do.
And then there is the fifth variable, target speed, which I actually think is the secret sauce here. The app standardizes target speed to approximately 3 rotations per second, or 3 curves, as the ball reaches the hole.
And that standardization is non-negotiable. If you don't define the terminal speed of the ball as it crosses the lip of the cup, you just cannot mathematically calculate an aim point.
Because there's infinite options otherwise. The app standardizes to 3 rotations per second. To picture that, it's not a ball slamming into the back of the cup, and it's not a dying putt teetering on the edge. It's that perfect, confident pace where the ball would roll perhaps 18 inches past the hole if it happened to miss.
It's the optimal speed for capture. By standardizing the target speed to 3 barbs, the system creates a fixed, predictable relationship between ball speed, roll time, and break.
Ah, going back to the chain reaction.
Yes. Remember that chain reaction we discussed earlier? If you know the ball is arriving at 3 arps, you can work backward to find the exact initial ball speed required. Once you have the initial speed, you know the exact roll time.
And once you have the roll time, you know exactly how long gravity will pull it.
Speed always determines direction.
Which brings us to a feature that completely blew my mind in this deep dive, the flat surface equivalent. We all know distance control is usually driven by sheer anxiety, especially on those terrifying, heavily sloping breaking putts.
People freeze up on those.
They really do.
Mm-hmm.
But the app calculates the exact energy required for that putt and converts it to a flat surface.
It translates a complex problem into a familiar feeling. Let's say you are facing a 5-meter breaking putt on a terrifyingly steep 4% uphill slope.
A nightmare putt.
Right. The app runs the physics engine and might tell you, you need to hit this with the exact same energy as an 8-meter straight putt on a flat green.
So by giving you a flat surface equivalent, the app is effectively hacking your muscle memory.
That's a great way to describe it. You don't have a reliable neural pathway built for a 4% uphill slider from 5 meters. You'd just be guessing.
Hoping for the best.
Exactly. But you absolutely have a neural pathway built for a standard 8-meter flat putt.
You've hit that 8-meter flat putt 1,000 times on the practice green. You visualize that familiar flat putt, you make that stroke, and you've instantly solved the energy equation of the complex putt.
It separates the problem. The aim point gives you the direction, but this distance point gives you the energy. Together, they create a complete, stress-free putting solution.
And this changes everything for performance, doesn't it? When a player stands over the ball with a mathematically proven aim point and a familiar distance feeling, the anxiety vanishes.
Tension in the hands disappears. The stroke just becomes more fluid.
But you know, if the math is this rigid, it makes me wonder about all the players who just rely on course knowledge. You know, the ones who proudly say they've memorized every green at their home club. Are they just setting themselves up to fail?
Memorization is a massive trap. It has severe limitations because conditions on a golf course change constantly.
They're never exactly the same.
Never. If the groundskeeper double rolls the green for a club championship and the Stimp value goes from a 9 to an 11, your memorized read is suddenly completely wrong. The physics have fundamentally shifted.
Or they move the pin.
Right. If the pin is moved 2 paces to the right and the slope percentage changes by just 1%, your memory fails you.
Which is why the material stresses understanding over memorization. If you understand the physical relationships, you become adaptable. You don't need to memorize a green if you can read the inputs.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture of a golfer's overall development, the greatest superpower this system gives a player or a coach is the ability to diagnose the true error. In golf, we constantly confuse reading errors with execution errors.
Oh, absolutely. You miss a putt, you get furious, and you immediately start tweaking your grip or your stroke, when actually your stroke was flawless. You just read the slope completely wrong.
We see it every day. Reading errors are cognitive. There are things like misjudging the slope percentage, misidentifying the fall line, getting the green speed wrong, or choosing the wrong aim point based on those factors.
And execution errors.
Execution errors are physical. You had a closed face angle at impact, you hit it off the toe of the putter, or your stroke path was poor.
And those two categories cannot solve each other.
Never. A perfect, technically flawless stroke cannot compensate for a fundamentally incorrect read. If you aim 2 feet too low, a perfect stroke just guarantees you miss 2 feet low.
And the reverse is true.
Yes, conversely, the best, most mathematically precise read in the world won't help you if you decelerate and chunk the putt. You have to evaluate those two processes independently. Correct diagnosis must always come before correction. Otherwise, you are tweaking a stroke that isn't broken.
Okay, but practically speaking, if I'm a golfer taking this out to the practice green with the app, am I just standing over the same 10-foot putt staring at my phone for an hour? How do you actually use this to build a skill?
The source material outlines a highly structured 5-step workflow to prevent exactly that. The steps are observe, calculate, visualize, execute, and evaluate.
Walk us through what that actually looks like in practice.
First, you observe. You use your eyes and feet to estimate the fall line, the slope, and the speed. You have to commit to an estimation first.
Before checking the app.
Right. Second, you calculate. You enter those variables into the app and get the objective physics answer. Third, you visualize that exact calculated trajectory, seeing the ball enter at 3 arps.
Okay, and then you hit it.
Fourth, you execute the stroke with total commitment to the flat surface equivalent distance.
And the fifth step, evaluate, is where the learning really happens.
Yes. If the putt missed, you don't just hit another one angrily. You go back and figure out which specific variable was off. Did you pull the putt? Well, that's execution.
Right.
But did it roll past the hole perfectly on your line but miss the break? That's a reading error. You likely misjudged the slope percentage or the stimp.
But, the drill that really stood out to me in the material is what they call learning through comparison. It's a way to accelerate your understanding of how these variables interact without even hitting a ball.
It is arguably the most powerful drill in the entire module. Instead of rolling the same putt repeatedly, you change just one variable in the app to see how it alters the physical reality.
So keeping the physical putt in front of me exactly the same, say, same 15 feet, same 3% side hill slope, same 3 o'clock position on the fall line.
Exactly the same physical location on the practice green. But in the app, you first calculate the putt for a Stimp 8, which is, a very slow, shaggy green. You physically walk over and place a tee in the ground at the aim point the app gives you.
Okay.
Then, without moving your ball, you change the app to Stimp 10, the standard nice green. The app gives you a new higher aim point. You place a second tee there. Then you change it to Stimp 12, tournament fast. You place a third tee at that new aim point.
So what does seeing all that actually mean for the golfer?
It's a visual shock. You see 3 completely different aim points spread out across the green for the exact same hole location. You immediately visually comprehend that a faster green requires a completely different putting solution, even though the physical slope of the grass hasn't changed a single millimeter.
Going back to our chain reaction, the faster the green, the less rolling friction there is.
Right.
That means you have to hit the ball softer initially, so it doesn't blow past the hole. Hitting it softer means it spends more time rolling on the slope, which means gravity, our sports car steering wheel, has more time to pull it down the hill.
Yes.
Therefore, you have to aim drastically higher.
You literally train your eyes to see the physics happening in real time. You can do the same exercise by holding the stimp constant, but changing the slope percentage from 1% to 2% to 3%.
And see the tees move again.
Exactly. You instantly see how rapidly gravity takes over as the slope gets steeper. You start to intuitively recognize these physical patterns.
So the ultimate goal here isn't to become dependent on a piece of technology. The Puttalyze system isn't designed to be a crutch. It's not just a calculator that does the work for you so you can shut off your brain and play golf like a robot.
No, not at all. It is fundamentally an educational tool.
Right.
The goal is to internalize the science. Over time, through this highly structured practice and comparison, these objective calculations become second nature.
You just start to see it.
You really do.
Yeah.
You start to instinctively recognize that a 3% side hill slope on a lightning-fast Stimp 12 green requires a massive aim point and a very delicate touch. Your visual perception naturally begins to align with the underlying physics.
You are replacing subjective guesswork with an intuitive, scientifically backed feel. You are training your organic computer, your brain, with objective data, so that when you are on the course on Sunday, you don't need the app at all.
Exactly. It transforms practice from mindless repetition into structured learning. You stop asking, did I guess correctly? And you start asking, which physical variable caused that result?
It's a paradigm shift.
It is. When knowledge replaces assumption, performance becomes incredibly consistent. And because the laws of physics are universal, that knowledge is perfectly transferable to any golf course on the planet.
This has been an incredibly eye-opening deep dive. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you listening with one final provocative thought to mull over next time you are out on the practice green.
Oh, this is a good one.
We've spent this entire time talking about the pristine physics of a rolling golf ball. The entire mathematical model relies on one crucial assumption during the energy transfer phase. It assumes the golf ball reaches a state of pure forward roll shortly after impact.
Which is a critical distinction.
Right. So think about your own putting stroke. If your putter delivers a strike with a negative angle of attack or maybe too much loft, it causes the ball to skip, hop, or skid off the putter face before it finally settles into a roll.
It launches it, essentially.
Yes. If your ball is airborne or skidding over the grass for the first 2 feet, It is completely defying the rolling friction equation. The sports car isn't on the road, it's flying.
And the math falls apart.
Completely.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, how much is that hidden execution flaw, that tiny imperceptible hop off the face, sabotaging your perfectly calculated read? If the ball isn't rolling, the physics of rolling just don't apply. It's really something to think about.
A brilliant point. The math only works if the ball interacts with the grass the way it's supposed to.
If you found today's episode valuable, please subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us continue producing evidence-based golf education for golfers and coaches around the world.
If you have a golf question, topic idea, or challenge you would like us to research, test, or explain, please leave a comment, contact us on LinkedIn, or send us an email.
If you're ready to improve your putting performance, join our 30-day Puttalyze Green Reading and Putting Certification course, where you'll learn green reading, speed and distance control, setup, alignment, aim, stroke mechanics, and a proven system for reading greens with greater confidence and consistency.